Did you just click on the thumbnail? Because if you did, you're in for a real treat. What you are about to see is a clip from my course, Content Creation for the Everyday Musician. What you are about to see is going to add so much to your day. It's going to add grace. It's going to add sunshine. It's going to add clarity to your video and recording situations. Without further ado, enjoy this little clip. Now it's time to talk about something that I think a lot of players overlook, or at least overlook for the majority of their playing life. At least I did personally. I never really thought much about specifically pickup height until 10 or 15 years ago, which is a lot considering I'm really old and I've been playing since the 90s, and that just wasn't ever a consideration. You never really thought about the height as it relates to the closeness of the pickup to the strings, okay? So when I refer to pickup height, I am talking about the physical closeness of the face of the pickup to the strings. Now, I will be using, again, the passive Seymour Duncan JB in my guitar. However, what we will go over is applicable to all kinds of pickups, passive or active. However, if you are running an active pickup, such as an EMG, the differences is lessened. It is still prevalent, but it's much less apparent on an active pickup than a passive pickup. Still there, but that's just something to note. There are a lot of schools on how to measure and how to adjust pickup height. For me personally, I go by ear. I don't ever think, okay, this pickup needs to be this distance away from my strings. I spend time adjusting the pickup height and just like it until it feels right and it sounds right. And I usually find that I'm generally about a 1/4 inch away from the strings for the bridge pickup. Now, when it comes to something like a neck pickup, now my guitar does not have a neck pickup. However, for neck pickups, you will often find that the neck pickup is a lot louder than the bridge pickup when you get something from the factory. If you get a new guitar, I typically will base my neck pickup height strictly as a volume balance to the bridge pickup. The bridge pickup is going to drive how high the neck pickup is, if that makes sense. Because the neck pickup, at least for me and a lot of playing styles, especially in the rock genre, is not a main position that you spend a ton of time in, right? So mostly lead players, clean passages, but if you were to switch back to the bridge pickup, you may find an imbalance if the neck pickup is too close to the strings, okay? So those are some general notes, but really what I want to drive home is there's no wrong way to really do the pickup height in relation to your strings. If it sounds good to you, then it is correct. So here's what we're gonna do. I've been recording DIs, and we have what I'm gonna call my control, my bass pickup height as it has been and how I have it set up. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna lower it for a medium. We're gonna call it a medium height, and then a lower height. I'm gonna back it way, way down. I'm gonna record each step, and then we're gonna compare the DIs, and we're gonna continue with the DI listening. We're gonna see the differences in how they sonically sound. Now with, I would say 95% of pickups, you will simply need a Phillips screwdriver. Some pickups require a flathead screwdriver, but beyond that, you shouldn't need any special tools. And most of you have some form of screwdriver around the house, if not already in your guitar kit. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm gonna adjust my pickup. You can just fast forward through all this stuff. Okay, so now that I have my pickup height at what I'm gonna call the medium range, I'm about 1/2 inch from the strings, okay? That's quite a bit. I wouldn't normally have it this low, but if it was a hotter output pickup, I would lower it, right? So I want a nominal amount of output, but I don't want to be too hot, and that's my personal preference. Your mileage may vary. However, I'm now at the medium setting. I'm gonna go ahead and record a pass so we can hear the DI. Now you will notice right away, visually speaking, my DI is dramatically smaller than what it was. Now, is this a good or bad thing? It's neither. There is no wrong or right answer to visually what these DIs look like. I try to always use my ears because, again, it's just about how the guitar sounds, right? But visually I can see it's definitely lower in volume because we are further away from the strings. Now, going to take out my, my screwdriver once again. I'm gonna lower this thing even more to the low setting. DI is, whew.
Waveform's so much smaller.
Okay, so now I have lowered my pickup significantly. Okay, this is almost level with the pickguard. It's just above the pickguard. It is quite a ways away from the strings. Let's track it, then we're gonna talk about it. So as you can see, my waveform is even smaller now. Is this good or bad? Complete personal preference. However, let's go ahead and listen to these things. What you're probably gonna notice is a reduction in low end as we get further away from the strings. We're probably gonna notice a lot more top end. It will sound like there's more top end. However, really there's just less low end. Let's take a listen and see what we actually hear. Here we go. What are we hearing? What am I hearing? Obviously, there's a huge difference between the medium height and the nominal height, which actually wasn't that much. I'm actually pretty surprised at how different these DIs are. Now, the DI between the low and the medium is very apparent visually and sonically. However, it's much less of a gap between a difference between these two DIs versus the nominal control height, which is crazy. Now, what does all this mean and how does this translate to guitar tone? This is how hard you're hitting the front end of your amp sim, your processor, or your amplifier, okay? This is where your gain staging starts, and this is essentially a volume knob. This is a volume knob before it even gets to the volume. Your volume is only attenuating. If it's up full, you are getting all of this DI, which most of us are at full up on our volume most of the time when tracking rock rhythm parts or metal rhythm parts, right? So this is a huge visual indicator of what is going on when your guitar is hitting the front end of whatever you were going into, especially something like an interface. So this is something to keep in mind if you do a lot of recording or a lot of DI tracking as opposed to actual process guitar tone recording. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna bring up my Gojira plugin and you can see with the, again, my height is still all the way down, you can hear the apparent difference in gain. Now, if I actually liked this tone, which it's not a bad tone, this is where I would utilize my input gain control on my plugin. This is what that control is for. So if I go ahead and turn it up, I can get the same effect as a closer pickup to my strings, but the tone of it being further away. So let's go ahead and just up the input just a little bit. So now I'm getting the clarity of the pickup being backed off, but I'm hitting the amplifier more on how it's designed. And so I'm still getting the thickness and the grit without being too fizzy or muddy. Gain staging is very important. See, I told you, now you're much better for it. If you liked what you saw and you want to see more, if you want to see the entire course or other parts of this course, link down below in the description. I'll be waiting.